Good morning.
Good morning.
We are pleased to continue our conversation, and today we're upon the new topic of sexuality.
And sensuality.
You are wanting to begin? You have something you are wanting to ask about?
Sure. As far as the subject's concerned, my first memories, conscious memories, are I was 2 years old, and a little girl and I were playing in a wooden box, and we had our pants off. I had her pants off and she had mine off. And we both got really punished for it. And that was my first experience of the negativity toward the attitude of anything sexual. And then the next remembrances I have are my mother and father arguing back and forth about it. Mother feeling that once she had her 3 children, that's all the sex that she wanted to perform. And it was fine with her if Daddy would go find another woman. She'd always say, find some other woman. She didn't care about that, but not her. And then the next thing began with just the little children. All of us and the ones I knew were having sexual experiences with one another, the little boys and the little girls doing this and that and the other thing, and then the little boys with the animals on the farm and that sort of thing. It all just kind of progressed along the way. And then as I moved into an era of accountability, then I remember my concerns and fears and inhibitions were so strong that I just would do anything to avoid the topic. And even as an adult, I couldn't use the word sex in front of anyone or never talked about it. And then later, all the barriers went down, and so I feel I moved into a very, very joyous, normal, or not about normal, but happy experience. And so from my opinion and from my experience, I see that all around me continually. People aren't having the amount of joy in the life that they could have if they could have some different understanding, so they could have some different, or at least a different experience with the sexual aspects of their physical beings. And so what I was hoping to do with this is to evoke from you another perspective so that we can all understand this a little better, so we won't have that feeling about the inhibitions. We'll feel right about doing what we feel right about doing. Does that make sense?
It does. It is a very broad subject, even though it seems not so broad, in the sense that we are wanting to assist you, all of you, in understanding what is at the root of your extreme discomfort regarding the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Most of you, as you emerged into your physical environment, found yourself surrounded by those who were extremely guarded even before you got there.
Right.
The majority of those surrounding you, not knowing who they are, not feeling their own personal power. And as a result of that, lack of feeling of security and strength and power, coming from perspectives of lack and insecurity. Most of them held a very guarded stance. And as you emerged, the newest and the most vulnerable because of your size and newness, they commenced to speak to you in terms of all of the things that you must guard against. Man's inherent nature is not one of guardedness. In other words, if that were the case, none of you would have ever emerged forth into this wondrous, new, but very unknown physical experience. You would not have come forth at all if from your non-physical perspective you were as guarded as you are from your physical perspective. And so you perpetuate among one another from your feeling of powerlessness and from your attention to lack, a sense that all is not well, a sense that there are monsters of all sorts that are out there that you must guard and protect yourself against. We believe that the topic of sexuality or sensuality is perhaps the most pointed topic to help you understand your position of guardedness and defensiveness rather than your position of just allowing good things to come unto you. If you understood the true nature of your beings, which is to attract all that you give thought to, and if you were able to control your thoughts, you would not be guarded against anything. You would be blissfully moving forward. If you were able to control your thoughts, as well as you are in many cases able to control your actions, Most of you do not eat things you don't like to eat. Most of you would not wear things that you do not like to wear. And yet you allow yourselves to entertain thoughts that are not in harmony with what you want. And so as you come to understand that you are the creator or the attractor of your experience, and that you have control over all things that you attract because you get to choose what you think about, then this position of guardedness would be softened, and you would not find yourself worrying about all of the negative possibilities, because you would understand that the negative possibilities are no more numerous than the positive possibilities, and that as you are giving attention to the positive possibilities, you will be the attractor of more of them. And so what is at the root of your confusion regarding sexuality is your confusion about your own personal power.
Sure. But I remember as my years went by, I was wanting to understand what was natural for me and what might be natural for most of us. In other words, what might go against the higher laws as I saw them. For instance, as I looked around and began to read books and study on different cultures around the world, it seemed like every culture, no matter how primitive or how so-called advanced, they all had taboos, rules that contained or controlled the newer people coming in regarding sex. And so I wondered if maybe, do we bring any of that from our higher knowing? In other words, is there any of that that is given to us, that information from our inner beings?
It is not coming from your inner beings or from your higher knowing or from non-physical. It is a product of your physical vulnerability. In other words, without exception, every law, religious or political, that has been offered for the legislating of sexual behavior comes from a perspective of lack, comes from a position of trying to protect or guard someone from something. That is the reason that all of your laws exist, no matter what the nature. You see some sort of problem, and then in your attempt to fix the problem, you organize some sort of law. Now, if you were really paying attention to what is happening in the offering of all of these laws, you would recognize that the law does not keep the one who is the breaker of the law from breaking the law. It restricts those who have a very strong decision to be law-abiding citizens. It is very curtailing for those who are seeking approval of the society. But those who are not seeking the approval of the society and those who have no interest in being law-abiding citizens pay no attention to the law. And so the law becomes something that restricts the freedom, or at least adds confusion in the lives of those who seek to conform or seek approval from society. But it has absolutely no effect on those freewheeling beings who have no interest in pleasing any of the others anyway. Can you hear the bird? That is a very sexual call. In other words, he is making a statement of appreciation to his mate, wherever and whoever she may be. A moment ago, the rooster was crowing so loud that we considered not continuing the recording. In other words, your world is filled with beings who are all receiving direction from non-physical. And yet it is only the humans who are guarded regarding the subject of sexuality. It is only the humans who are coming from this extreme place of lack regarding the subject of sexuality. And from your perspective of lack, from your concern that you may be doing something wrong, from your concern that has been fostered within you from those who have gone before, you are, most of you, in a place of great confusion, not very much joy.